skills everywhere. A marketplace for them, a directory for them. Every agent framework shipped support for them this year. So let's take a look at what a skill actually is. One clean definition, and why the entire industry decided, all at once, that this is how we hand an agent the things it can do. Let me start with something you've definitely hit. You ask a coding agent to add a real product to your app. Payments, auth, chat, whatever. Something from a real company with a real SDK. And the agent goes for it confidently and gets it subtly, infuriatingly wrong. It reaches for the API as it existed in its training data, which might be a year's deal. Method names that got renamed. A setup flow that's 3 versions out of date. The token pattern the docs explicitly tell you not to use anymore. It's not that the model is dumb, it's brilliant. It's that it's working from a fuzzy, averaged out memory of 1,000 blog posts and Stack Overflow threads about that product. Half of them outdated, none of them authoritative. So you end up doing the thing we all do. You stop, you go and read the actual docs, you find the current example, and you spoon feed it back to the agent. Now, here's the part that should bother you. The company that built that product knows the exact right way to use it. Their engineers know what the real docs are, the current integration steps, the gotchas, the opinionated path they'd put you on if they were sitting next to you. That knowledge exists. It's just not in the room where your agent is doing the work. So the question skill answers is, what if the company could hand your agent that expertise directly? The canonical, current, this is how we'd actually do it knowledge. And your agent could pull it in the moment it starts building, instead of guessing. So how does a company get that expertise into the room? This is the part that's almost insultingly simple. A skill is a folder with a markdown file in it. That's basically it. The file is called skill.md and it has 2 parts. Up top, a little front matter, a name and a description of what the skill is for and when to use it. Below that, the actual knowledge, how to build the thing, the current steps, the gotchas, the path the company's own engineers would put you on. So that expert sitting next to you from a second ago, that is them, written down. The company writes it once, publishes it, and now it can travel into anybody's agent. But the clever part isn't the file. It's when the agent reads it. When your agent starts up, it doesn't load the whole skill. It scans just the name and the description. 1 line, nothing more. Then it gets to work. And the moment your task matches what the skill is for, you ask it to add stream video to your app, for example. And there's a skill whose description says exactly that, pulls in the full instructions. Right then, not a second before. That's called progressive disclosure. And it's the whole trick. The agent's context stays lean because it isn't carrying a product's entire manual around when you're not even using that product. The expertise sits dormant until it's relevant, then loads exactly when it's useful. Like an expert who stays quiet until the one moment they're actually the most useful person in the room. So when people call a skill a reusable capability for an agent, this is what they mean. Not code that runs, knowledge that loads right when it's needed. Now, skill gets thrown around right next to 2 other things, and if you don't separate them, you'll stay confused forever. Let me draw the lines. There are rules. A rule, like a .cursor rules file, is always on. It loads into every conversation, no matter what you're doing. Great for broad, persistent facts. This is a TypeScript project. Prefer functional components, always use PNPM. But it's a bad home for deep, task-specific knowledge because it bloats every conversation with instructions that only matter some of the time. A rule is always on context. Then there are tools and MCP servers, which are how agents connect to them. A tool gives the agent the ability to do something it otherwise couldn't. Hit an API, query a database. Take a real action in another system. A tool is an ability to act. A skill is neither, exactly. At its core, a skill is on-demand knowledge, the deep, specific how-to that loads only when the task calls for it. It isn't itself a tool call. Now, a skill can bundle little scripts alongside its instructions, and the agent will run them, but it runs them with an ability it already has, like executing a bash command. The skill supplies the know-how, the agent does the doing. The line isn't a skill can't touch anything, is that a tool is the ability and the skill is the expertise that drives it. A skill is a markdown file that loads on demand. Why did that become a movement? the marketplaces, the registries, the montage at the top of this video? Because once expertise is packaged this cleanly, it stops being a one-off. The same skill is reusable across every project you'll ever build, portable across basically every coding agent, Claude Code, Cursor, Copilot, dozens more, because it's an open spec and version controlled. So when a product ships a breaking change, the company updates the skill and every developer's agent is current again. Write once, runs everywhere, stays maintained. That alone would be useful. But here's the part that actually explains the montage at the top of the video. Once a skill is just a folder in a Git repo, it's shareable. And that turned into an ecosystem almost overnight. There's a package manager for skills now. You run npx skills add, point it at a repo, and your agent gains that expertise in seconds. There's a registry, skills.sh, to discover what's out there. People call it the NPM moment for agent context, and that's kind of exactly right. It took a world of copy-pasting snippets out of GitHub and turned it into install, version, share. Now flip it to the company side, because this is why your favorite tools are all racing to ship skills right now. For them, a skill is a new distribution channel, except instead of writing docs and hoping a developer reads them, they're handling their expertise straight to the thing that's actually writing the code. One skill, published once, and every developer's agent suddenly builds with their product the right way. That's why Stream and Stripe and so many other companies have shipped one. It's the most direct line they've ever had to the exact moment of integration. Remember the problem from the start? The agent guessing how to build with a product from stale secondhand memory? Plenty of companies are shipping skills for this now. And you'll find Stripe, Figma, Notion, and a lot more in the ecosystem, but I'm going to be using the one that I've actually been building with. So Stream shipped a skill for this. One command. So you use npx skills add getstream agent skills. Now, your coding agent knows how to build with Stream correctly against the current API with the path Stream's own engineers would put you on. Watch. First, a fresh agent, no skill installed. I ask, add real-time chat to this Next.js app using Stream. It takes a swing and fumbles the subtle stuff. The token handling, the client versus server setup, the strict mode edge cases, the theme wiring, plausible looking code that doesn't quite run. Now let's add the skill. Same agent, same model, same prompt. But now it reads the skill first. It detects it's a Next.js project, pulls in the right module, and wires the whole thing end-to-end. Tokens, components, theme, all of it. The difference between those two attempts is one markdown file. I did not upgrade the model, I put a Stream engineer in the room. And because it's a skill, not a one-off, it keeps paying off. Add video calling, it composes the video knowledge on top of the chat it just built. And it's not only building. I can type any active calls right now in plain English, and the skill knows how to turn that into the right Stream CLI command. The agent runs it with the terminal access it already has, and my live data comes back, build and manage from one install. That's a skill doing its job. The agent didn't get smarter, it got the right expertise right when it mattered. Quick honesty, because skills aren't fairy dust you sprinkle on everything. If the model already nails something from general knowledge, a standard React component, reversing a string, whatever, it doesn't need a skill. And wrapping common knowledge in one is just clutter. And clutter has a cost. Every skill description is one more thing the agent weighs in on every task. Skills earn their place in 3 specific situations. First, when the knowledge is specific and the model gets it wrong. And this is the big one. A particular product's current API, a framework moving faster than its training data, the internal patterns of a tool the model has only seen secondhand. The narrower and more current the knowledge, the more a skill beats the model's averaged out guess. Second, when is procedural? A multi-step how-to with an order and gotchas, not just a fact. Integrating, scaffolding, migrating, releasing. And third, when the knowledge would otherwise keep getting re-explained. Every new session, every new developer on the team, if someone's had to spell it out more than twice, that's a skill trying to be born. That's the test. Specific, procedural, repeated. Hit those 3 and a skill turns your agent from a confident guesser into something that actually knows the product. So that's what an agent skill is. Not a smarter model, not magic. A markdown file that lets the people who built a product hand your agent the right way to use it, loaded at the exact moment it's building. The whole industry just figured out that expertise can be a package. Now you know what everybody's actually talking about. The stream skill I use is linked below. And if there's a skill you wish existed, tell us in the comments. Somebody should build it. Might as well be you.